All right, and now you're gonna hear. See, now that's not gonna pick up. It's only gonna pick up y'all talking. No, okay. So you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, when it's done, you start talking.
Okay.
You're gonna turn up one, two,
4.
no, 1, 3, and 4. Yes.
4, and then
Bring that down. Hold
He, he blew this up. He blew the song up. Yes.
Mm-mm.
You're tuned into Meeting of the Minds of South Florida with Powell and Chris on Excitement Radio.
See, so much time. Time you have left.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Meeting of the Minds of South Florida with Paula and
Chris. We're back once again in the building. New location, new theme, same people.
New Everything.
Everything 2021 starting
Yeah,
all
we're
over
heading
again.
in a new direction. We decided to turn Meeting of the Minds into a company now. We'll speak. Really, Chris?
When did we set that up? I didn't sign no
Don't
paper.
start. We'll talk about that later on in other shows, but Chris, do know. Since it's our first time tonight, do you want to just give a little brief introduction how we started before we jump in with Dr. Powell?
Yes. I mean, if some of y'all know the history, some of y'all don't. I'll be brief because I can talk. Me and P have a background working in substance abuse. We worked at the center for almost 4 or 5 years, and we saw a lot of girls, saw a lot of different clients that came through. And P has a heart for people. And she one day said, I want to do something in the community. And I'm like, well, what? She said, I want to create a radio show. And I'm like, all right, cool. So years passed. And finally, one day I called her and I'm like, listen, I'm at a place where we have a chance to start a radio show. And she's like, yeah, no, you're not. You're kidding. Because I joke about a lot of stuff. And she walked in and she almost fell out. Now, the thing about it is she has left the show several times and did not want to start. However, I continue to try to pull it back because you have to have an anchor as the ship takes off. Now, the thing about it is Meetings of Mind we created is a platform to allow, we get out information to the community. Sometimes people need to know information. And today, knowledge is power. I don't care, what side you're on, whether it's red, blue, whatever it is. Knowledge is power. And there's so much going on in the community, and we want to highlight that. And there's so many people that do so much in the community. We want to highlight those people. So that's where Meetings of Mind got started. I don't know. It's been a great ride so far. I mean,
It has been fun. We had some wonderful people supporting us.
Yeah, we had a lot. I think we had more ups than we did
And
downs.
Dr. Powell is one of our biggest supporters, and we love her because she always wants to give back knowledge to the community, especially about health, because in our community, we tend to veer away from health issues. We don't want to stand up to it. But before I jump into the show and introduce Dr. Powell, I don't start off sad with sad stuff, but I need to honor someone. For those of you that's on Facebook, a lot of you knew him as J. Rayam. His name was Jamar Hammond. He was murdered on Tuesday night. If most of you know him, he was a health guru. One of the things I know he's a part of, Flat Tops Forever Barbershop. And when I tell you this was a phenomenal guy, I had a couple of interactions with him. We talked about detox and tea, but his smile alone, and when you spoke to him on the phone, his energy radiates through the phone. It's like positive, always uplifting. So I just want to say condolences to his family. And I have to say he was a king. So rest easy, King, rest easy. We love you. The whole community loves you. And thank you for what you did. So we could continue. Tonight we're having Dr. Dr. Powell, Dr. Michelle Powell of Powell Health Solutions. We're going to speak on STDs, which nobody likes to talk about, but we need to talk about it.
I don't talk about that.
Because we
You don't talk
do
about
stuff.
STDs?
We do stuff very freely these days, and we just need to, bring knowledge to the community about STDs and things like that. And if you think you have one, don't be afraid, because it's better to take care of it and not to take care of it. And you could cause other issues by not taking care of it or transmit it to more people. So please, please, please take care of your health. So welcome, Dr. Powell.
Thank you guys for having me back again. I am always so excited and psyched to be here with you, and I love the fact that you are working to reach the community, especially on hard topics. I mean, this is a hard topic because everybody's having sex and everybody want to act like they're not. Right? Let's be real. Everyone's having sex and everyone to pretend they're still virgins, right?
Of course.
And so as a result of the shame, guilt, that's perpetrated.
And not to interrupt, but everybody says they use protection.
All the time.
Everybody says.
I mean, I carry one in my pocket, right? It just never leaves the pocket.
That's a classic lie. That's a classic lie. Every guy has that rubber in their wallet that they hand out to their friends in college.
No, that they had enough for four or five years.
Right.
Expired.
Oh, dry, expired, crumbling when you open the package.
And fellas, I'm gonna tell y'all this: everybody ain't ready for Magnum. Everybody can't use Magnum.
Okay.
Everybody can't get the gold. Sometimes you got to go with lifestyles. Others don't.
No.
Everybody can't.
Bruh, really?
I'm trying to be
They're
real.
trying to impress, right?
You know what I'm
They're
saying? Put it-
whipping it out like I
Check
got
the
the
date.
bag.
Check the date. Let me check the date, ladies.
I got the gold foil.
You know
I
what I'm
got the
saying?
gold foil. You need to bring back out the black one.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
God.
These two together. Oh.
We're gonna have fun tonight because
We
what?
are.
We're gonna take a topic that people don't want to talk about, want to pretend they're still, church girls, and they never saw, they don't even know what sex means, and they're not gonna do it even on their wedding night. They're not gonna do it, but that's not true, and we know it. We can see it in all the pregnant young ladies walking around.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying, "Whoops, oops."
They better try before their wedding night.
Right? Dry run. I'm not buying no car that I haven't ridden.
Right?
Right? I'm not buying no car I haven't ridden. Okay.
If he is, God forgive me.
Okay. All right.
But it is what you never bought a car without test driving it.
No, you just bought it, right? You just bought that car.
Y'all want me to answer the question live?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I like I'm a Carfax guy. I like to do the reading before I take
But
the
you
car.
ever you bought a car without driving it?
I don't know what you're talking
Not
about,
only
Pete.
did he drive it, he run it through the ground. Okay.
All 4 flat tires. I put the transmission out there.
Okay.
Norma, I'm
Smoking.
sorry, we're not talking about you, my
Oh,
love.
smoking.
Okay.
On a tow truck.
You gotta make sure you can handle the ride, right?
I'm gonna be sleeping in the car tonight. I'm gonna let y'all vote.
I got a hookup at a hotel for you.
Oh.
I could get you discounted rates.
That's gonna be any better after this conversation.
But yeah, we let's be real. People are having sex.
Yeah.
And we need to remove from the topic of sexual engagement the fear, the phobias,
Mhm.
The taboos.
Mhm.
People say, "Oh, that only you gay people." That's not true.
No.
That is so not true. And a lot of people have the myth that if they have anal sex, then they're not really having sex, so they don't have to use protection,
There we
and they
Wait,
can't get no disease.
This is
right?
one of the things that I wanted to bring up because now, as you say, anal sex was only labeled for the LGBT, what it is, Q community.
Yeah.
You gonna get a
For-
suit. You gonna be out there.
But it's not.
It's
you
not.
know?
That's a myth.
And that's the normal. It's
Mhm.
like it's more popular than, man to man and woman. It's
Yeah.
more the anal sex is
I told
more
you the story.
popular.
I told you the story about the girl we had in college that she would only have anal sex because she said she was
So,
waiting
for
to
virginity, for marriage.
virginity.
Yes.
And we would sit at the table and be like, this doesn't make sense. You're still having sex. Well, no, when I get married, my husband would be the first person in. I'm like, but there's been a lot of people that came in the back. And it didn't make any sense because she justified in her head that she was just having anal sex, so that was not sex.
And by the time she get married, she might need a depend.
You know, but it goes back to what her mom always told her: don't have sex before marriage.
Again, taboos, you know, and myths. But the key is you can still get a sexually transmitted disease. In fact, you may more readily get a sexually transmitted disease because in the anal area, lots of vasculature, lots of blood vessels, and we know many of the STDs, especially HIV, is transmitted through body fluids. And those blood vessels, you rupture some of those blood vessels, you're going to be transmitting disease.
And it's most likely to happen because that's not really a door you're supposed to go in.
Right.
And as often
It's
as
an
they
exit.
do.
It's
Yes.
an exit. But it should be an exit. But we're humans, and humans like to be creative. They turn every door into an entrance,
So I have to ask stupid questions, which are not stupid, but I need to ask for the audience. If you're going to have anal sex, should you use protection?
Let's hone in on the key word. Sex. If you are having sex, anal sex, oral sex, any sex, you need protection. And the protection starts not when you're naked. Protection starts with the conversation.
It's true.
And I think we keep forgetting that conversation of finding out people's histories. As a doctor, that's the number one thing we like to do. What is your history? Have you ever had a sexually transmitted disease? And we don't want to ask that question. You cute, I'm cute. Let's get it together. No. Ask the question. Have you had an STD? And are you willing to go get tested before we engage sexually? So we're not even naked yet, and we need to be encouraging people to have that question first.
Okay, so I need to go back a little bit. Oral sex.
It's sex.
No. I know that, but people think with oral sex, you don't have to use protection. An example, and y'all don't come at me saying I have no herpes. Okay, just an example. I have herpes. Somebody performs oral sex. I have a breakout. I'm in that breakout moment. What can happen to the person that's
giving you oral sex?
Yes.
Well, first of all, if you're having an outbreak, what does a herpes outbreak look like? Most of the time, if you're having it's red, it's irritated, it can look like a blister. It could, and of course, people say, no, I was shaving, I was shaving.
It's a hair bomb.
It's a hair bomb, all those lies. No, you got herpes. And even if you don't know it's herpes, you have something and you should get it checked out. Hey, doc, I need you to take a look at this area. I think I shaved and, maybe cut myself, but could you test it? Because it does look like a blister. It looks like you might have shaved yourself. And so, you really want to. The person giving you oral sex can get herpes from giving oral sex to someone who has an outbreak, an active outbreak. It's very prevalent. And guess what? A lot of people, it doesn't have to blister or ooze for you to be active. It could just be red and irritated. And you're actively, what we call shedding the virus. That means it's dropping, You remember viruses are so small. We're dealing with COVID right now. It's so tiny. It's not like, the piece of string that you can say, oh, look. The other thing too, come on, turn the lights on. Can people turn the lights on? Put on like a couple candles, And I always tell men and women, use the eyes that you have in your head and do a visual from head to toe. What does that penis look like? Is anything dripping out of it other than a little clear fluid? Pre-cum can have virus and infection in it. Oh, I didn't come yet. That's just pre-cum. It's a body fluid, okay? So, which means it can have infection in it. So no, I put on the condom when I'm about to come. No, you've been coming from you got excited. You've been having that pre-cum drippy from you got excited and we got aroused, and got stimulated. So yes, you can transmit an infection during pre-cum. You can, so like you said, someone giving oral sex, if there's a redness or irritation, turn on the lights, take a look at your partner. Mouth, oral sex. Someone has a blister in their mouth. Type 1 herpes, there are two types of herpes, type 1 and type 2. Type 1, they would say there's 1 and 2 lips, but type 2 is usually what they call the sexually transmitted type of herpes. Type 1 is a common cold sore, canker sore in the mouth. all age ranges can have it, but you actually can transmit that type 1 to the genital area and it not be type 2 herpes, you know. And on alert, this is not one of those curable. You don't cure herpes. You know, we can
You
cure
could just treat it for the outbreaks.
just for the outbreak, but you will have it. Once you have it, you have it. It's a friend for life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you think people they don't check? Like you just made a good point. Do it head to toe. But you said turn the lights on. Most of us are visual creatures. We have eyes. Why don't people just think in the back of their mind, let me check, because I may end up having long-term effects, which burning, some
Probably
sensation.
insecurities.
Good point.
Insecurities.
Yeah. When the lights.
I don't care. You're going to see all this voluptuous.
I need that test. I need that paperwork.
Show me the
Pull it
paper.
out. I just went yesterday.
You know, I really think it should be like the COVID test. Show me your COVID test. I got my COVID vaccine. I can show you my records now. I'm here without my mask. I can show you my COVID card. I got my COVID card.
Wow.
But yeah, it should be. I think it's a great point. You know, why are people so ashamed? Right, shame. And really, we're still in guilt. We're still dealing with guilt that has been preached over and over and over. You shouldn't be having sex. Why are you having sex? You know, so that guilt and shame that's attached to sex makes people want to hide. They hide where they do it. They hide who they do it with. Maybe that person's not acceptable to the family or friends. So they're going to hide who they're doing with. And of course, you talked about being self-conscious. About maybe you don't feel beautiful, maybe you don't feel gorgeous, and he got the look at the head, but when he sees the body, maybe may not be impressed. You know, so let's just keep the lights down low.
Wow.
Isn't there a song like that? Keeps the lights down low.
I think so.
Turn the lights. Turn the lights.
We got a whole
Turn the lights down low. Bob Marley and Lauryn Hill, they did they mixed her in.
Ben's got a whole playlist.
That's for next week's show. Don't play.
Okay.
But one thing I want to bring up, you guys have just, you know, the number one sexually transmitted disease, and I didn't know, it was HPV, the human papilloma virus. The number one, the one that causes cervical cancer, genital warts, is number one. They were, was reading that it's like 14 million every year. And so they have a vaccine, which is the craziest thing. It's one of the few STDs that we actually have a vaccine for, that you can actually prevent cervical cancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because I was reading a little on that. You can't take the vaccine after you're diagnosed, can you? Yes. Only if it's at a certain level, right?
No, you actually can.
You can?
You can, yes, because there are over 40 types of HPV viruses, 40 different types, you know, like 40 family members, you know, and the vaccine covers a number of them that you may have a type, you may have HPV and it'll be a type that is not in the vaccine. So getting the vaccine will protect you from another set. So I'm not certain, but I think about 6 or 8 of the 40 is covered in that vaccine.
And I do know you could, like, say for a woman that goes and have her female exam, she can, it'll show up this exam, but if she goes back in 6 months, if she have to go back or a year, it could not show up, right? Yeah,
that's the beauty of, you know, I'm giving my age away, but back when I was being trained, when you had a cervical, an abnormal pap because you had HPV, that's the only reason we do PAPs, is to make sure we try to prevent cervical cancer, which kills people. And we don't have to die from cervical cancer. But back then, when you had a positive PAP and you had HPV, they said you'll never get rid of it. They treated it like herpes. But they're finding now in 6 months, 2 years, many people, their own body resolves it.
Fights it.
It fights it, gets rid of it.
I did not know that was the number one STD.
Number one. I was shocked.
HPV. I was thinking maybe gonorrhea, syphilis.
Warts. Just think of genital warts. The little tiny little lumps in the area.
And that's another thing. You could wear a condom, and you could still catch genital warts from somebody. It doesn't have to be on that, you know, it could be on the little island of the vagina, as they say, and stuff like that, and the men as well. So testicles. You really need to look. Seriously.
Down the bouncing balls.
Wow. So what advice would you give parents? Because I work with a lot of youth, and they still, parents give them the whole Sunday talk, don't have sex.
Don't have sex.
Because it always is, you don't want to get a girl pregnant or you don't want to become pregnant. But the parents never talk about the STDs. What advice would you give to parents to talk to their kids about STDs? Because a lot of times it's like, don't have sex because you want to get pregnant.
Yeah. I think, first of all, the number one advice I would give to parents is have open dialogue with your child.
Okay.
It's open dialogue. Don't put a gap, a bridge, or distance between you and your child.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your child decides that they're going to have sex, you want to have a relationship where they can talk honestly with you so that you can give guidance on how to protect them. But if you've created the beating stick, where there's such a distance that I'm the parent and you're the child and you're going to do what I say do, they're going to have sex and they'll never have a conversation about you, which means you don't have the opportunity to give guidance and direction. So the first thing I would say is, as your child moves from into the adolescent age, start giving them enough respect that they're willing to have open dialogues with you. Okay. Because when you can communicate with someone, you can direct them. If you can't communicate, you can't give any direction. You can say don't have sex all day long, but if I'm not listening to you, they're not going to.
But I know some parents now, the conversations they had, I would like for you to wait until you get married to have sex. But
yes,
this is what you need to do if you decide. Here are some condoms. Here is this is what you do, or whatever. When mom checked the condoms, she'll pass out if one or two missing. But if dad check it, dad gonna say yes, but that's a man's thing. But I'd rather have that conversation than say don't have sex and leave it like that.
Just leave it alone.
I think there's also a very heavy religious focus for many, that giving out condoms or talking about sexually transmitted disease or even having that sex talk is condoning having sex. And I think we need to move away from that myth. We want to be prepared. Even people who are not going to have sex before marriage still needs that conversation with their partner. Where have you been? Who have you been? Can we both go have a test? I'm all for people who have the fortitude to wait until marriage, but don't go blindly, like you said, buying that car without looking at the hood and the engine, or at least having a look, taking that visual.
And I have to. I'm gonna put this out. You have the younger generation that's bad, but these men that's in their 50s,
you need to go higher.
Listen, 50 and 60, up.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me tell you what they do. Because they have erectile dysfunction. They tell you, oh, I don't wear condoms. Why is that? Because it's a hit or miss. Why it's working? What? You need to make other arrangements. No, seriously, you would think. You would think at that age, there's other things. You have the issue. Go to the doctor. There's different medications you could take, and if you can't, retire. No.
Girl told them to retire. That's a whole other conversation.
I'm not being rude. But don't think because your impotence becomes a woman's problem that you can't wear a condom because
it's not. But see, it's the women too.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying it's not women. I'm not saying it's not women.
Because remember, y'all sex drive goes up, ours goes down. So
what you want us to do?
I mean, that's what sometimes they got cougars now. That's what they call some of the older women cougars.
Well, call me a cougar.
I didn't say that, but if you take it personally, you know what I'm saying?
I want to bring the table around. I thought you brought up a really good point. When HIV came out, there was a trend going on, it probably still is, where older people who were now still very sexually active would now date younger girls because they felt very young girls. Because they felt they were safe. That is, they didn't have any STDs. So you do have to look for what I call the vultures. Those individuals who've had their sexual activities. I've contacted many sexually transmitted disease, but are dating very young girls or young boys. So knowing that virgin types, they won't be getting STDs. So think about it.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this because
I mean, you have to be in a different headspace. And so
That's probably why I don't
That's
understand.
why you will have to educate your child early.
Because I'm like,
Because whether they're your same age, 15, 16, 20s, 30s, 40s, age does not mean you're going to do what is right to protect another person from
because
STDs.
I live in Oakland Park and Wilton Manors is near there. And I see a lot of older men, 60s, going out with guys in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the gym and this guy is 72. The guy, his boyfriend is 22.
Yep.
You talking about 50-something years.
Yep.
And I'm sitting up here going, what do y'all have in common? I've seen a 65-year-old man with a 22.
Sex. They have sex. Sex and ignorance.
Dang, that
Sex
should be
and
that
ignorance.
could be a whole other show right there. Sex and
and
ignorance. That
Sex
could be
and
part
ignorance.
2. The pre-Valentine's.
Yeah, I know. Sex and
Oh my
ignorance.
God.
You have something, and same thing with an older man and a younger woman, or vice versa. You have affluence, you have money,
It's the
you have
power.
position,
It's
you
the-
have
it's the
power. I'm not willing to wait. I want to have it now. So I'm a young teenager. I'm in my 20s. I can get it now by hooking up with that power, affluence, and money. It's
You know the bad thing
and all I have
about
to give
I-
up is sex.
I
That's
have
nothing.
I have to jump in a little personal about me with the age thing. You know, I could never attract anyone. It's very rare in my age group. It's always younger.
Good. You got that energy. You got the energy
It's
for you.
always-
Yeah.
It's good and bad because some of them not wrapped too tight, but it's okay.
That's the energy. Energy.
I tried to do the applause on the board. I can't do
Good.
it. I
I'm
tried to do the applause on the board, but I couldn't.
I'm so happy you couldn't.
But I do want us to be aware, how then does someone say to somebody that they're really interested in, lots of sexual chemistry going on, I really find you sexually attractive. I really would love to engage, in a sexual act with you.
Let's go get tested.
Let's get tested, or tell me just tell me your sexual history.
See, if
You
you
know?
had from a man's perspective, there's some men. I'm gonna be honest with you. You have a conversation with a woman, we don't want to have that conversation
Thank you.
because I'm gonna give you two sides. It could be an ego thing because if her numbers are higher than yours, you're gonna be thinking something entirely different. If her numbers lower, you're gonna be thinking something different. And sometimes most men we don't want to know.
No.
Steve Harvey
It's
said a
about-
woman shouldn't go past 3.
When I say no, don't get me
Brown county.
yeah. Now don't get me wrong. When I say let's talk about sexual history, I'm not talking about the
How
numbers game.
many?
I'm not talking about
That's
numbers.
right, body count.
I'm talking.
Body count.
Sex is also what are you willing to do? What are you willing to engage in? Some people say no to anal sex. Some people say no to rimming. Some people say no to oral sex. Some will say you give me oral, but I won't give you oral. And that's a conversation you want to have before you're butt naked and you're expecting some outcomes that you're never going to get. In fact, we're not done till I come. Those conversations.
Doctor have the realest conversation we ever had.
But it's true.
No, but-
That's
And
our
nobody wants to
conversation.
talk about it.
I'm a pleaser. No, I'm a giver.
But why do you think people don't want to talk about it? Because it's
Shame and guilt. Shame and guilt. Or I like it rough. No, I like it soft. No, I need to see some blood. No, you gotta. Hey, there are
You'd be
people who get off
surprised.
on
No.
seeing a little, some kind of bruising. And look, that's not me, but there are, and you need to have that conversation. All of a sudden, you're laying your back and somebody's suffocating you with a pillow. Or got their hands wrapped around your neck.
911.
But no,
it's a safety word. We got a
what's
safety
that
word.
safety
Banana.
word? And if you're not having those conversations, or all of a sudden somebody else walks in the room and like, who's that? Oh, that's my friend. We always do things together. And now you're in a situation where you may know the history of the person that you thought you were having sex with, but their partner now who just arrived, you don't even know what their history is. And for many women, and I have to say women, they feel so intimidated that they've already agreed to have sex that they're not going to say no to somebody else coming in. And a lot of women end up in that situation. And because you talk about substance abuse, a lot of people get engaged in sexual activities under the influence.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem with being under the influence, right?
I need
End
to
up
be
in-
sober so I can know whether I'm going to go back or not.
Exactly. You're so high, you didn't know how many people came in you. You don't know who came the back door and the front door and wake up covered.
We had we had a class on sexual STDs one time, and the stories that the girls told, it was unbelievable. And one girl, she was like, she didn't remember. She said she woke up 2 days later. It was a bunch of guys over, and she had no idea where she was at, and she don't know what happened. And we had girls that had created videos, and the girl went back and looked at it because the girl said, "I got something to show you." She said, "What are you talking about?" Her boyfriend had sent her a video of her 3 years ago, and the girl didn't even know somebody recorded it. And she's like, "Well, if you don't do this, I'm gonna put this out on the internet." Oh, wow. And the girl was like, "This is not fair to me, Miss Sigmund, because I was under the influence." And see, that's the problem. So many people, when they get in those states, they don't know. Right. People get drugged. They go home with people. You know, you got date rape, drugs. And this happens to men and women. Because
men and women.
I know some dudes.
I know some dude who got gang raped.
Yeah.
Because they were under the influence.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be in your right mind.
At this age, who cares? Go ahead and post my wings on the internet. I don't care. I'll tell you the wing story later.
Yeah, that's off the camera.
But we understand, though, that now you're under the influence. Even if you do get an STD, now you can't even track it.
Who it is.
Because if there were 8 people in the room, who gave you the STD? Who gave you HIV?
No, who were the 8 people, to be honest?
Yeah, well, let's start with that. Or you do get pregnant. And now we talk about pregnancy, and you're putting a child at risk because certain STDs can cause blindness in children, like chlamydia when they're born, syphilis,
when they come through the birth canal,
mental and cognitive impairments from neurosyphilis.
We had a case like that. I mean, I'm not going through people's history. We had a case like that. The girl had 4 guys, and she didn't know who the father was, and they were all 4 different nationalities. And the kid came out very light, and she never knew who the dad was. Wow. But she also had syphilis, and she had to get treated, and she was embarrassed. Right. Because she didn't know, and then the shame, and then she didn't want to make the phone calls, and then somebody was like, "Well, just call off 4 of the guys." I was like, "Don't call anybody."
Listen,
don't call anybody.
I need to say this: if you find out you have an STD, please do not be afraid or embarrassed to contact your partner. I think it is not fair that one gets treatment and the other one don't. Be the bigger person and say, "Hey, you need to get yourself checked out. They said I have this. Maybe you'll be negative. I don't know, but go get yourself checked out." Come on.
Yeah, and I really want to say something to that because I have 2 stories, and I really want to address the fact that so many people are living with guilt and shame. I had a young lady. She had one sexual partner. And I met her many years ago when she would try to kill herself because she found out she was HIV positive. Wow. And she tried to kill herself because she started having some symptoms and when she found out. And that's, again, the guilt and shame because people find out they have diseases and they're full of so much guilt and shame that they go off, get their treatment, and never discuss it with that partner or their new partner. Now they may be in a new relationship and they never want to tell the story that, oh, back when I was whenever, I got an STD and it's still with me, like herpes. Herpes stays with you. Syphilis gets treated, gonorrhea gets treated, chlamydia gets treated, but herpes stays with you. HIV stays with you. And that's a hard story sometimes to give, especially if you're insecure in that new relationship. Oh, I just wanted to I got AIDS. I just thought.
All right, we'll talk later. I'll call you. I'm getting a little tired. My mama just texted me.
And that's a hard conversation because there's still so much guilt and shame. And the other thing I want to say is about. I always tell my patients is that they think they have an STD. Said, "Doc, I need to get checked." That's it. First thing I'm going to say, disclaimer: I do not have bail money. I do not have bail money. So whatever the results are, I do not expect you to be shooting up nobody, cutting nobody, because I'm not going to be going to the jailhouse to bail you out. Wow. Because that's one of the other things. People get violent.
They do.
They get really violent. You gave me an STD and cussing people out.
I would be upset either way, but I'm going to tell you this. If you knew about it and you didn't talk about it, shame on you. But if you didn't know about it, you're just as much as blame as I am because you could have said, "Stop, let's use protection." So that's what we need to realize. Don't blame it on the 100.
Oh,
Let's keep 100. Got me 100.
No, I'm just kidding.
my thing is like, because we had, I'm from Atlanta, and we had a guy that was in Atlanta, and his mission was to go around. He knew he was HIV positive, and he slept with 12 women.
Oh my gosh!
And he knew he ended up going to jail because of that. And we had another young lady.
That's attempted murder.
It is, but there was another young lady that she got HIV and AIDS from a basketball player that played for the Hawks. Names remain nameless. She put on there that she started trying to sleep with every NBA player that possible.
Wow.
This is back in 2008, so they started
Because she got infected.
Because she got infected, and she told people she was so hurt because of what had happened. And see, that's the thing. And I don't never know if she confronted the guy, but the fact that they put her out there, they ended up, people called her to her. She ended up going to jail because she actually had sex with 2 guys, and they said she had known. And I think she did like 20-some years. But the question still remains, like, people get hurt by this. People get killed by this. There was a movie, I believe, that a lady went to Jamaica, and she met a guy. And they had a romance, and she was getting ready to fly back to the States, and he gave her a wooden box. And I don't know if this is true or not. And in the wooden box, he said, "Don't open the box." You get
it was a casket or something.
Yeah. And that story always stuck out with me because, growing up, we were in the church.
But I guess it take a lot, because why not, if you find out something like that, why not advocate and speak to people? But I guess you have to have that in you. Because it takes a lot because of shame.
Because you got to think like Dr. saying. If I find out that somebody all of a sudden, I now have STD, HIV, and AIDS, I could die, and then nobody told me, and you knew, we're going to have some problems. I'm going to be outside waiting for you with a bat or something. Because
you're going to wait till they come outside?
Yeah.
You got to go in.
No, I'm going to let you come outside because I don't need no cameras. People be taking pictures and everything. But
there's so many cameras outside. Go in, knock on the door and go in and say, "Hey, baby," and then it goes from there. But people don't listen to me. I'm just having fun tonight.
Into the bathroom.
But
meet me in the bathroom.
I know, right?
Round 2. I got to. But that's a legitimate question, because a lot of times people get hurt by this. People get killed over stuff like this. And going back to the young lady talking about, she wanted to commit suicide. Like that's, and she only had one person. So that's the effect that this has on people. And I don't think most people.
Can you imagine what she was saying? I only slept with one person, and I was faithful, whatever the case may be. And this happened.
The trauma.
So if she wasn't born with it, or transmitted it from blood transfusion, that means her partner
gave it to her
and had multiple partners.
Yeah.
Or people in marriages. There are plenty of people in marriages.
You come home.
Hey,
all of a sudden somebody's child. I know some stories.
I went to the doctor today, and she told me,
I got bam.
I got herpes. I don't have any other partners, honey. How does that affect you?
I don't know how you got that.
You had it before me. Who you?
I knew you knew what.
Yeah, that bully mentality start kicking in.
I mean, but I've seen people in marriages end over this stuff like that.
Of course.
Because people
betrayal.
It's a betrayal. It's the hurt. And I honestly think it's tough for somebody to come back from it. After a couple of years, therapy and stuff, you may be an advocate. But the onset, the first 3 to 6 months,
it's pain.
It's pain. I'm not coming outside.
How my dear come out with that gun in her purse? Oh, people, I'm so sorry. I do not condone violence. I'm just having fun tonight.
I know somebody in your family does. She got a back in the trunk. I ain't saying anything.
But we have to be real, guys. And that's why prevention, we have to talk about prevention. And the only way we're going to get to where people are having real, honest conversations is we got to put down the guilt. We have to put down the shame. Yeah. We got to put down the judgment, Oh, you were having sex with men. That's how you got it. Mm-hmm. That's the only way you get HIV. No, that's not true. Oh, you were drugged. You were doing IV drugs. That's how you got AIDS. No.
You know, I'm a veer off a little bit. Someone found out they had colon cancer. And I went to the doctor with them. I really, really felt bad. They told the doctor, but I'm not gay.
Wow.
And that just broke my heart. I almost passed out. And I'm like, no, it's not from that. And I asked the doctor, can you just explain how this goes? Because it doesn't mean you're gay.
But going back to what we talked about earlier, the stereotypes.
Yeah.
People, we want to try to parlay certain things because this is what we've seen. I remember there was a commercial said, if you go to date 3 should be where we're going to get tested.
Where we're going to say
that commercial doesn't exist now. These kids, honestly,
they don't make it to the
We don't make it to day 3. We
Y'all make it to a
on
day.
Instagram, Snapchat, and we're rolling.
No, text 1.
Text 1. I gotta respond back. You may leave me on red. I mean, some of the kids I work with, I'm like, so have when'd you meet this girl? Oh, I saw her on Instagram in Sigma. So you've never physically seen her? No, but she hit me in the DM. I hit her in the DM. So have y'all went out? No, I met her one time and I smashed her behind the trash can. Wait, what? Did you use protection?
Nah.
Bruh, come on, man. Ain't nobody using protection these days. Again, even when we had the bowl of condoms out there, Susan B. Anthony, there was a lot of staff members that fought
The
against
staff
it.
was taking more than this.
I said,
very
oh,
much.
y'all going these? Well, I got a date tonight.
Yeah.
But some of the staff didn't want to have them back there because they said, oh, the girls need to practice abstinence. I said, let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
Let's
They are here.
They're
Remember
here.
where they are.
They have kids.
Yes, thank you.
They're going out on the weekends. And whether you want to believe that they're all this Monday through Friday, on Saturday, Sunday, these girls are wilding out.
Yeah.
These girls are wilding out.
But we have to empower. And I think that's where we need those conversations and those practice seminars and those practice workshops. Because I've had the conversations. You're in a vulnerable situation. This is your man. You love them. You're deep into that relationship and you just want to give it up, and you have that kind of sexual attraction. And you're going to say, oops, excuse me. Could you get the condoms, please? I know. No. You're not. I'm serious. You're just not going to do that. They're just not doing that because they don't feel powerful enough. Whether because they feel, well, that's going to show up like I don't trust them.
Mm.
You've heard that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want them to think that I don't trust them, or I want to feel it real. I want to feel it bad. I want to feel, I want to feel it.
But
okay. You're also going to feel that hurt and that burn.
Feel that burn. What did they say? Feel the burn?
Well, she looked clean. He looked clean.
Everybody look clean on the
I just
outside.
need to drink some more water. That's all. Oh, okay. Okay.
I had a friend one time, he was with a girl, and he looked down and he said he saw bumps. And I said, what'd you do? He said, man, I just kept on going. I said, you didn't stop. He said, I didn't think about it till afterwards.
That could have been genital wart.
And guess what? At that point, we were already at the clinic, so it was too late.
Okay.
I said, man, he said, she told me it was shaving bumps. I said, bro.
What was it, genital wart?
It was warts and herpes. Yep.
All on
Not everything show up like cauliflower. Some things just show up like a little pimple.
It look like a frog. Them genital warts.
Oh no, that's just a pimple.
No, it's a pimple. I cut myself. I was shaving.
That's a lot of ingrowns.
Yeah.
But we need to teach how to have that conversation. Just like when they say stranger danger.
Mm-hmm.
You're not my daddy. You're not my mommy, and the kids be running. Girls and guys have to know how to say, no.
You have a condom? No. Stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
That's the best time. Are they even teaching sex ed anymore in the classes?
No.
Why?
Minimum because of the religious right.
That video scared the crap out of me. When I saw it when I was 14, it just they hit play and all you see was the lady spread her legs open. You see all the warts, and then the coach would come out. It was a banana, and this is how you put the condom on the banana. It was sitting up there going, okay. He'd go back and click on other slides of STDs. We're like, we're straight, we good, because they would show you the man's penis with the warts on there and blown up in.
Yeah. I
Any
have
questions?
whole volumes of these wonderful pictures, And guess what? In the moment, I'm telling you, in the moment,
You don't think
no
about
one
it.
cares. In the moment, they don't care. So we can't even.
So let me
we have to do
ask
things
you,
before
I'm not being funny. If a man have genital warts on his penis, the woman can't feel the roughness.
Texture, girl. They got condoms with textures now.
Oh, okay. So that's what
that's
she think that Rocky Road is?
texture.
Oh, okay.
7-Eleven,
I'm just saying.
39.
Texture.
They got
Oh,
all
maybe it's the rough ride.
It's a
Lamb
stimulus.
steak.
There you go. It's texturized.
The rubber, what is it? The rubber hat is like the extra sensitive
Yes.
rubber stuff on the outside. They got all
I
that.
was just asking because I just can't imagine.
I mean, it's sad but true, but we just have to ask the question. And before you get into the vulnerable situation where you're laying there spread eagle, or butt up, you just can't. You can't be having that question. Oh, turning back. Hey, excuse me. I just have a question for you.
Can I see your touch results, please?
That's not the time,
But you do know there are men that care about their health just as much as women.
Yeah.
There are men that you meet and they will say, let's go get tested together if we're going to do this.
Right. But I think now I'm not out there, so I can't speak. But back in the day, that was one of the things they would always tell us. You get to date 4, date 5, go get tested.
Yes.
That was a commercial that came out, even regardless of whatever sex, go get tested. That's what I'm saying. Now, I don't see that. A lot of youth I'm working with, I have a girl that's 14. She's already got 2 kids.
So let me ask you, why
like,
do you think?
Which means there was no condom present.
Zero.
I guarantee you.
Absolutely.
Why do you think when you act, if you care about someone, I meet a guy, I like him, he like me, and I say, okay, we could do this. He want to take it to a next level. Let's go get it tested. Let's go get tested. Why do you think they back off? Number one, testing is free almost. You could get it free anywhere
Because I think
almost.
it goes back to what Doc says. It's the fear.
Fear of what? Having something and
No, but
finding
it's just
out?
the fact of going and sitting in there, having to get the test. It's just the fact, okay, we're going to go get tested. Well, what do you have? Because these are
Trust.
uncomfortable conversations. These are uncomfortable
We
conversations.
can't have sex doesn't require conversation. It really doesn't.
It's work.
It doesn't require conversation. And if all you are about, and that goes back to what sex is and what sex can be. If sex is just hit it, split it, get it off, you're not going to take no time to go to a clinic. If you don't care about the person you're engaging with, who cares if I have an STD and that person doesn't? They don't care. So first you have to have a relationship. Let's talk about that. If there's no relationship, you don't care. The only thing you're caring about is getting, let's say, your nuts off. That's all you're caring about. Or are you coming? That's it.
That's it.
So if there's no caring, then there's no action to take care of somebody or even yourself. And that first care starts with you. If I'm not caring about me, if I'm not caring about me, and I'm just, they get my scorecard. Hey, I went through 10 today.
Belt count.
I got my belt count.
Body count.
If that's so, we have to move to caring. We have to move sex back to relationships. As opposed to body counts. But I don't think we're going to solve the issue if we're still just having sex just for a feel. Unless relationship, because you still have to care. And that's where we may have to move conversations to. Let's move it to caring.
So what would it take? And I'm going to look at both extremes. For if you have the older population, how would you have a conversation with them? Because that to me would be the hardest, the most difficult population to talk to about actually caring. Because I'm at the end of my life. Do you really think I care if I catch HIV, AIDS, STDs? I've been through everything. I'm 60. Do you think I want to listen to this? Because guess what? I'm gonna probably die 10, 15 years from now, 10 years. I'm looking for the excitement because I remember there's places in South Florida. When I looked at the numbers, I was shocked. And they're saying the numbers are extremely high. But a lot
Leon
of
County, the highest in Florida for STDs. Leon County.
That's what all
Baltimore,
the
Maryland.
elderly, right?
Retirement community. Baltimore, Maryland,
So
number
what
one
are
in
they
the
doing up
country.
there?
So how do you have a conversation with somebody that's 62? They come in and say, Doc, I think I might have something. How are we gonna have a conversation? How would you have a conversation as a health professional? Because
see, the beauty of with men in particular, most STDs in women are not painful. Maybe ugly, maybe smelly, but not painful. Most STDs in men burn and hurt.
pain factor. Pain, you got it. That's it, fellas.
It burns. It hurts. And this is what I've also told women. A man will get chlamydia or gonorrhea and he will be treated and cured because within hours,
take that pill.
He's dripping and oozing and draining. Yellow
pill.
and green colors. And men do not ooze and drain and drip. Whereas women are very used to having vaginal secretions. They have clear vaginal secretions halfway through ovulation. When they menstruate, there's a discharge. And so women are very comfortable with vaginal secretions, But let that vaginal secretion start burning, Now we're in a different zone. So I tell this age group, look, you're going to die for sure. It's just how you're going to die. Are you going to be burning the way to your grave? are you going to have neurosyphilis where you're so
Fire
demented
and
you don't know who
desire.
you are?
I just caught that.
Every time you go to have a bowel movement, you feel your behind on fire because it's full of cauliflower. You know, these things are not comfortable.
Wow.
So, I mean, they're nice ways to stop people. I don't care if I have a heart attack. Well, we don't let people die anymore. We keep you alive on life support.
But if you
People-
burn it, it's a whole different story.
So I said, you know, they're nice ways to be, a nice way to engage in comfortable ways. You know?
Was that a commercial I saw where this lady, or was it a TikTok? I can't remember. This lady told her son, I think she was elderly, like in her 80s. She told her son, I think I went to the doctor and they said I have an STD. And he said, you do know what an STD is? Yeah, Johnny down the hall gave it to me. And she was in like a nursing home and her son almost passed out. Like, come on.
It's a 1 to 10 ratio in those homes, you know. Well,
1 to 10.
and don't let them get a car.
That's what I heard. You want to go to the grocery store?
But it's also the young generation. Guy has a car. You want to ride? Give it up. You know?
Another crazy story. This girl, she's a youth we have. She's 14. When she needs to get a ride, that's what she does. And it's only men in their 40s and 50s that pick her up.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking to her, I said, what is your thinking? She said, this is what my mom taught me.
I was just going to say, where did she learn the lesson?
This is what my mom taught
I'm sure it happened very early.
She had her son, I think he's 2 now, but she's 14.
That means at 12.
So men, it's crazy. And her mom operates the same way. And what's crazy, when she stayed with her dad would pimp her out to pay the rent. So now you have a girl that's damaged for life, and she's 14.
You know,
and it blows, it hurts me.
Yeah,
I had a conversation this morning with a friend in his 50s, and he was telling me a girl approached him before, and she was young, and she told him because these young, she called them boys, which were young men, don't know how to handle her sexually, and their mindset. The older men are more stable. They're more of you got food in the house, the kids okay, which the young boys, they come to you and ask you for stuff, and if you ain't got something, they go on to their other girl house. Yeah, I just had this conversation this morning.
When she told me the guys' ages she's been with, 40 all the way up to 60. And I said, where did you go? She said, I just need to get a ride to Publix. So I had to go get my baby some medication.
And a lot of time they pay for it.
And that's what's crazy. Because even going back to when we were at the center, there was a website. They shut it down. The Fed shut it down. But that's how a lot of our girls would get rides. They would go on the website. And I saw so many dudes pull up. And she said, Hickman, I don't need a bus card because I got this card. I got the V card. And it pays for everything that I need in life.
Right.
And I'm sitting up here going, did you use
what you said? The V card?
The V card.
Oh,
the
the JJ card.
The JJ card. And she told me that. She said, hey,
mine expired.
I gotta go.
Mine's turned platinum, girl. Mine's platinum now, so
I can't with y'all.
My card is vintage.
But the mindset is.
But you know, that brings us to a larger question of the economic situation that our people is in, where we now are pimping out our children and we're teaching them social skills to get by that involves the utilization as their body as a tool and a means of economic empowerment.
So when their body drops, what's left?
The body's never going to drop.
Then you pimp out your child. You see, she had a child.
The body's never going to drop.
So now she's taught that when my body's, it's maxed out, now I got another.
I'm going to keep the cycle going.
Well, so we have to end it by shaping up this economic situation where the body is not the commodity, where they're raised economically, that's not the resource. You're going to use the other tools that everyone else is using.
I mean, because it's crazy to me, because when I look at a lot of the youth, that's just a lot of the girls and even some of the guys. One of the guys, I know he dates a lot of older women like him. And it's the same thing. You know, he's 19. He goes out with women 50s and the 60s. He said, Chris, they pay for my rent. They take care of this.
There you go. Economic needs. It's an economic need.
And it goes across the, and I'm like, well, did you get tested for it, man? I'm straight. I'm young.
So in other
I'm
words,
not
you
gonna
got a
die.
sugar
And guess what? If someone is meeting your economic needs, how are you going to look in their face and say, Big Daddy, I need you to go get tested before? It's not going to happen.
You know that rent due tomorrow.
Look, Big Daddy will go to the next young girl who won't ask him to get tested.
Zero questions.
Okay?
That rent due tomorrow. You want that rent money or no?
So we have to look at STDs at different levels. It's an economic issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a social issue. What are we saying about relationships?
Mm-hmm.
They're myths and stereotypes that we have to demolish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a communication issue.
Yeah.
Where we're not having, and I love we're having this conversation. We're making fun, we're enjoying it, but that's how conversations need to be so that they get real. They get real. So I'm glad you guys had me come out today.
You know,
and
we
have
love
this conversation.
One more thing, though. Have you ever seen the case of the Rockdale High School back in 1996? Y'all got.
Oh, the girls were pregnant?
No. The whole high school ended up with syphilis in Georgia, Rockdale County. It's a PBS documentary. Y'all should check it out. Rockdale. It's called the Rockdale Chronicles. It came out, I think it was 98, 99. But it's a small town, and every kid at the high school, 80% of the kids tested positive for some type of STD. And they said the reason why was these kids had nothing else to do on the weekend. So now you're talking about urban kids out in the middle of nowhere. Again, no activities. So what's the other thing we're gonna do? Listen,
have sex with each other.
What do babies do? I got my toes. I got another leg here.
I can't. We forgot to announce that the number for the show is 305-749-6004. I know Ben was going to say, did you forget about that? But we're now live on Excitement Radio. So if you go to Excitement Radio every week, you just click on Excitement Radio URL. It'll direct you right to the station. So next week, you guys definitely should tune in. Doc, thank you for coming on.
I love it. You love it. You guys love it.
Pete, what you got to close them out?
Well, thank you. Oh, next week, because next week is Valentine's weekend, we're going to have Dr. Krista Bloom with the Good Loving Show.
You sure next week is Valentine's?
Next week? Next weekend? Oh, okay. You in the doghouse early. And don't be calling P. Can you help me out?
Hey. You messing up my plug, man. You messing up my plug.
So every time I leave the show, oh, you know what? I don't know if you guys know Tabitha Brown. She is an actress, but she's social media personality. And today is her birthday. So Tabitha Brown, happy birthday. And one of my favorite things that I like what she says, I want you to have a good night here. And if you can't have a good night, don't go mess up nobody else's on. But anyway, before I go tonight, I always leave you with a positive word. Tonight's word, the greatest wealth is health, and it's by Unknown. So thank you for tuning in to Meeting of the Minds of South Florida on Excitement Radio. Check out the excitementradio.com app. They have the schedules there of the different shows that are on. Please tune in. Very informative. They have health shows and mini shows. Just check out the website. I don't know them all by heart. And thank you for tuning in to Meeting of the Minds of South Florida. We'll see you next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. with Dr. Krista Bloom with the Good Loving Show to bring in Valentine's Day early.
You sure next week is Valentine's?
Listen, we need to have this conversation off the air before you don't get divorced the week before Valentine's. How about that?
Hey, you better get your present ready. Okay?
You know what? I didn't realize it was Valentine's next week.
You better do Amazon Prime.
Ooh, you right. Order tonight. Have it by tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Safe sex, everybody. Did we have a question? Oh.
Where's the music, bro?
I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay. Hello. Oh, we didn't answer any questions.
Ben.
Good job.
He can't find him.